It's brought in the Shulchan Aruch, the codified book of Jewish law, that you cannot speak words of Torah in front of your primary rabbi. But since this is my wedding, and mainly a thank you speech to everyone that contributed to this moment for the two of us, I thought at first it would be okay. But then I thought the main source of our Simcha, Hashem, may his name be blessed, will be mentioned frequently, as well as words of Torah. So I now ask permission from our Rabbi Yitzchak Steinberg to speak. The story that led to this moment is a long one, and I will try to keep it short. As you've seen with the pages, it's still not very short. That's why I've actually added bli neder, without a vowel. But so many people contributed to this moment for myself and Gabriela that I would like to take this opportunity to thank them formally. Unfortunately, in every thank you speech, some people are left out, mainly to keep the speech as short as possible. So, just before Yom Kippur, we would like to ask all of you for mechila, forgiveness, if you were not mentioned. Also, Rinat is helping to live stream it to our families. So, thanks, Rinat. First of all, we would like to acknowledge and thank our families that due to the Chinese virus, they cannot share this long-awaited moment with us here in person. But they are joining us on my YouTube channel, The Jewish Convert, and it is brought in the laws of prayer that you are where your mind is. So since their minds and thoughts are here with us today, they are in some metaphysical level right here with us. To Gabriela's family, the Skumans, her father, Ariel, her mothers, yes, you heard correct, plural, mothers, Keturah and Jerusha, her brothers, Ramon, Francois, Isaac, and Drian, her sisters, Ilani and Melissa. We are extremely sad that you cannot stand here by our side on this special day. Gabriela is very attached to a big family and has mainly lived with her parents all her life. Since she is the youngest daughter, it is extra emotional not to have those she loves most with her on a special day, which is the dream of every Boere meisie, with her father leading her down the aisle. Again, on a metaphysical level, it was her father that brought her to this moment, and thus technically led her to the Chuppah, perhaps not physically, but spiritually, as you will discover in this speech. With Yom Kippur fast approaching, I would also like to ask formal mechila, forgiveness, that I did not follow the Afrikaans custom to ask her father for her hand in marriage in person, as is our custom, ledor vador, from generation to generation. To my family, the Kriels, also called the Meerkaikies due to our inquisitive nature, I ask forgiveness if in the next section I get a bit emotional. Afrikaans men are taught never to cry, especially in public. I thus call on Yochanan to make sure that my lichaam is always full, so that I am ready to deliver this speech. Maak hom 'n sterk enetjie. Hierso, ek het klaar glas. As hy lekker. As nog alle lichaam te consider. To my father, Lawrence Leon Reinhardt, Kriel of blessed memory, who died in 2010 after a long battle with cancer. Afrikaans kids are raised with a healthy balance of love and fear. This is something my father did extremely well. He taught me discipline, dedication, honesty, and to always take care of those you love. He always emphasized close to the end that all a man has when he dies is his good name, and that he certainly had. This part's a little bit tricky. I've practiced it many times, but it's now a little bit different. I would also like to take this opportunity to ask formal mechila, forgiveness to my father, for not always living up to my potential and the values he worked so hard to instill in me. May his neshama receive an aliyah. To my mother on YouTube. My mother's not very good with electronics, but she figured out the YouTube thing. That has endured a lot of suffering through my difficult medical childhood. I had heart disease when I was 4, died and came back. I had cancer when I was 6, and afterwards lost my leg, and it was a year full of chemotherapy. Through all of this, my mother never lost faith in God. She always sees the hand of God in everything, and believes that everything is ultimately for the good. She raised me with a lot of love, with an emphasis on caring for everyone, no matter where you are from or what you look like. We would also like to thank her for buying Gabriela's ticket for her to be here in Israel under the Chuppah. Mama, ek is baie lief vir jou en sal altyd wees. To my sisters, Randy and Maxie Kriel, also via YouTube. At least they know how to work YouTube. Who often had to deal with less love and affection due to my mother being with me constantly in hospital until I was about 8. I also asked them formally for mechila, forgiveness, and would like to thank them for what they had to give up for me without ever complaining about it or even mentioning it once. Dankie. There is a famous question asked in Jewish oral law in the Talmud, where it is asked, why the righteous suffer and the wicked prosper? Another question many people ask is, where is God? This question comes up especially when there is suffering and hardship. The basic answer is, God is right there. He brings both the good and the bad in our eyes. Ultimately, everything God does is for our good, even the suffering and the hardships. Hopefully, through our brief stories of how we got to the Chuppah, you will realize this, and in so doing, we will strengthen your faith, B'ezrat Hashem, and bring glory to Hashem. May His name be blessed. The road to the Chuppah, here in Israel, of me and Gabriela, 2 former Christians, Afrikaners, both originally from Limpopo, is an interesting one, filled with twists and turns. More than 1,000 different people and pieces and situations had to be arranged just right to get us here. This could all be done only by the Master of all creation, Hashem, blessed be His name. For example, if someone told me at age 7, after losing my left leg below the knee due to cancer, after a long year of experimental chemotherapy, drips, tests, throwing up every day, that very moment would one day lead me to become a medical prosthetist orthotist, which would allow me to travel to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where I worked for the King, Sultan bin Abdulaziz, and where I would meet a German who converted to Islam, that originally wanted to convert to Judaism, and told me that you can, in fact, convert to Judaism. That I would then go on to convert after a battle with myself, mostly the rabbis, and the conversion system as a whole. That would in turn lead me to create a YouTube channel. That would then lead me to Gabriela, Afrikaanse boere Joodse meisie, standing with me here in Israel. If someone told me all this at age 7, after the cancer and losing the leg, I would tell them it's impossible. And those are not words I often use. Through a midrash, it is taught that finding your shidduch, your soulmate, is more difficult for Hashem than splitting the sea. Yet through the abundant love of Hashem and His overflowing kindness, He did just that for me. May His name be blessed. Another example of this is if someone told Gabriela and her family that through a family business that collapsed in 2013, it would lead to questions, especially a question asked by a grandfather, a former pastor, asking why do Christians not keep Shabbat on Saturday? And that this question that followed the tragic moment of hardship would lead her and her family to Judaism, which would eventually lead Gabriela to reaching out to a random Afrikaans Jewish convert on YouTube, with whom she would one day stand under the Chuppah in Israel. She would tell you, "Yes, Mal, you are crazy" in English. But God would reply, crazier than selecting a single nation out of all the nations to give in His abundant love the Torah that we live by. Nothing is impossible for God. May His name be blessed. In every story, there is supporting players that has an integral role in the story. Without them, the story would not be the same. For Abraham, it was Eliezer who found a wife for his son, Yitzchak. For Moshe, it was his brother, Aaron, that spoke for him when he could not. And for David HaMelech, there was Jonathan that saved him from certain death. Our story, like our forefathers of blessed memory, would not be the same without the following people. And here we are going to, Rabbi Shlicha, but here we are going to embarrass some people in public. It's a whole thing. So we would please like Sarah Katz to stand up. Unfortunately, Sarah Katz doesn't like to be in the limelight, so just before Yom Kippur, Mechila, you know. I can come back another 2 times if you want, it's all okay. She is the Shlicha for Lance and Kim Katz, who has become, for me and Gabriela, who has become like our South African Jewish parents, obviously represented by Sarah Katz, their daughter. The Katz family has hosted me in Sea Point more than I can mention. I even have my own chair at the table, and when someone sits there, I get a little bit offended because it's technically my chair. If it was not for the Katz family, especially Kim Katz, as Mr. Briut, the Ministry of Health, told me, there would be nothing to discuss. And this speech, and certainly this chuppah today, would still be a dream. We can't go into detail there, but okay. We are eternally in your debt and eternally grateful. Thank you. Shliach. It's only about this. Next is Ari, who is there next to my rabbi, Ari Wolf, and his wife Chana, who has become like our Israeli Jewish parents. The Wolf family hosted me in Raanana more than I can mention. I also stayed with them for a week, and they actually helped me move into my current apartment, as well as being the guarantors. I'm not sure if they still know, but they're still the guarantors for that apartment. They also hosted me and Gabriela with a very eventful Rosh Hashana first night, which we will also not go into detail. We thank you for everything you do for us, and we know you will continue to do for us. To Estelle and Philip Chasen. Could you please stand? Or as I like to call them, Mr. and Mrs. Chasen. Thanks for always hosting me for Shabbat and Chagim. Also thanks for letting me stay by you for Yishai Gochen's bar mitzvah, because we try to avoid a yichud situation. As well as taking care of Gabriela on Shabbat Tshuva, also a Shabbat Kala. You have become like our Jewish Savta and Saba, Jewish grandparents for the not the Hebrew crowd. And we are eternally grateful and thanks for everything that you do for us. The next people we need to thank is Ilan and Candy Chasen. And they should stand as well. Oh, but Candy's not. You can stand and set. You've been acknowledged. Thank you. Candy and Ilan does so much for the whole Jewish community in Israel. Not only did they establish a synagogue together with the Gochen family, sitting various places I see, but they also arranged this entire wedding, all while working full-time and with kids, especially Candy. Words cannot adequately express the gratitude we have. I told Rabbi Horowitz that we need to start investigating the family line through Ilan's father, Philip Chasen, as I am starting to suspect that Ilan might be the Mashiach. Ilan, with his miraculous ways, which he doesn't want me to discuss, found a way to bring Gabriela into the country after numerous people and institutions told us that it is not possible. I didn't reveal any details. Candy, working in the background, also saved the day with this beautiful dress that Gabriela has on. After Gabriela had her first Israeli customer service experience. And you get used to that. I mean, it's not the same. This also ties in what my rabbi said, Rabbi Yitzchak Steinberg. who was also instrumental in bringing us to the Chuppah. He's the one that suggested we contact Rabbi David Benny's son, who's actually going to a place for his son's wedding and thus can't be here. I thought he would be here, but go to his son's wedding is probably more important. And he told us to do the conversion and the Chuppah in Israel after I told him in South Africa it's minimum a 2-year process. Rabbi David Benny's son worked miracles to get us here, and we are in his debt. When everything started happening, suddenly, my rabbi reminded me of the last prophet, Malachi, in chapter 3, verse 1, speaking about the redemption that will come suddenly. And this moment is our personal salvation that came suddenly after months of planning, knocking on every single possible door, obviously together with Ilan. We would also like to thank my rabbi for arranging the color classes for Gabriela, as well as learning with me every week for more than an hour for the last year and a half. We would also like to thank my rabbi for the meeting we had, where he explained us all the details of the ceremony, as well as planning the structure of the wedding ceremony, even though he does not like this word, ceremony. I would also like to thank the Rebbetzin. And the kids. Renat is obviously my favorite, as you've noticed. And I was actually at the wedding of Ateret, and I can tell you that me and Gabriela watched that wedding so many times. We know it back to front. What you did right, you know what didn't go exactly as planned. We know that back to front. I would like to thank the Rebbetzin for always having me over and including me in all the simchas of my rabbi. You are truly an example of a family that lives Torah and not just teaching Torah. May Hashem continue to bless you until 120. To Gabriela, my color. Thanks for all the sacrifices you made to be here today. On Friday nights before we eat the Shabbat evening meal, we sing Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. With all due respect to the sages that wrote this beautiful tribute to the women in our lives, I feel, Shlomo Melech, I must ask Mechila now. I feel, in my humble opinion, it does not adequately express the exceptional woman you are, Gabriela. Someone that is truly beautiful both on the inside as well as obviously on the outside. Someone that is extremely caring, even to God's little creatures, even though she's allergic to most of them. Someone that stands by her family, which I've already explained is quite a big one, no matter what happens. Someone that is extremely honest and patient, and unlike me, always on time. Someone that does not know the meaning of the word ego or anger. Someone that has a deep love and connection with Hashem and always eager to learn more of His Torah. I'm not sure what I did to deserve you, but I will do everything to make you the happiest scholar you can possibly be. May Hashem continue to bless you in everything you do. Last, we would like to thank everyone that prayed and worked in the background to make this happen, both those that were seen and those that was not seen. Every single prayer, Tehillim, and words of Torah led us here, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Moshe asks in the Torah to see Hashem. A strange question, since God is not physical. What is even stranger is that God actually agrees with his requests and says, you can see me from the back. Also a strange reply, since God does not have an actual back. The Ramban Nachmanides explains that this means that you rarely see God when you're in the midst of your struggle and your suffering. Only when you look back do you often see God and realize that not only was He right there, but everything was for your own good, in the abundant wisdom of God, a wisdom that we will never fully grasp or understand. May Hashem continue to bless us as a couple and everyone present here today and on YouTube. And may we all be sealed for a good and sweet year and a favorable judgment. Have no fear, because you will be judged. Because the King, who is the judge, is also our Father. And he continues to shower us with his blessing and kindness. And all he asks from us is to keep his mitzvot. תודה רבה ממש, וגם חג שמח כולם.
החתן שייל מוישה בעל הבית לברך אלוהינו שהשמחה במנו ושחר במשלו ובו חיינו ברוך אלוהינו שהשמחה במנו ושחר במשלו ובו חיינו
בצלם דמות תבניתו והתקין לו ממנו בניין עדי עד ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר האדם
Simcha, Baruch atah Adonai, Masameach, Tzion b'vanecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mesameach Hasan v'kala.
Him hakar